Well, let's go ahead and talk about fire damage claims while we wait for some of the callers, because we know that those temperatures, as Carson just said, are about to drop. So a lot of people may be looking at finding a different way to keep warm.
Yeah, this time of year we start turning on our space heaters. Fires can happen in the house, and just kind of get prepared for the worst case scenario. And one of the things I always tell folks to do, if you gosh forbid have a fire in your house and you've got to make an insurance claim with your homeowner's insurance company, how do you document what you had? Because one thing about dealing with insurance companies is that they're going to want to know, what items did you lose in your house? And so we have so much stuff in our house, we just don't remember what all we had. So what I do is I go around and I take pictures. Every year, once a year, I have a day that I go around and I take pictures of everything in my house, so that if the worst case scenario happens, then I'm able to look at my pictures and remember what we actually had in the house, so that I can make a claim to the insurance company.
That is a valuable tip, because I know a lot of people don't tend to do those things.
That's
so
right.
what else is something that we can do that most people don't consider when it comes to making one of those claims?
Well, the thing is that you need to look at your insurance policy, because sometimes your insurance company will have a replacement value on what you've lost in a fire versus the actual cost or value of what was destroyed. And there's a big difference here, because if you've got a TV that's a couple of years old, then obviously it's not going to be worth as much than if you just bought it. But if you have an insurance policy with a replacement value, then your insurance company will replace the TV as it is that day, once it is destroyed. So it's important to look at your homeowner's insurance policy to ensure what the insurance company is actually going to pay you back in the event that a worst case scenario happens.
Good stuff right there. Well, it looks like we do have a caller on the line. Steve, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Hey, go ahead with your question.
Yes, I'm was involved in a divorce. My wife divorced me, and I'm paying alimony. And the decree is saying that I will pay her this alimony for life. I was just wondering if, and my ex-wife lives with her family, which she has really no bills to speak of. And the children were from her first husband, and I was just wondering if it's common for someone to have to pay alimony each month for the rest of their life in a situation like this.
Well, here's the thing, Steve. The alimony is set by the court, and alimony doesn't have anything to do with child support. Alimony has to do with what, during the course of the marriage, what dependency your wife or other spouse had on the marriage, and how long you had been married, and a bunch of different variables go into setting an alimony. The alimony is set by the court by order. There are changes in circumstances. If your circumstance changes from a financial perspective, there are sometimes opportunities where you can ask a court to reevaluate alimony. And that's something that you would need to talk to somebody who practices family law or divorce law, and so you can get a better idea about if in your particular scenario, if there is a change in circumstances. For instance, if your ex-wife got married again, or if your ex-wife is now the dependent of somebody else. Those are avenues that you can request the court to change your alimony based upon a change in circumstances. So in answer to your question, maybe you could get your alimony changed, but that would have to be something that you would have to ask a court to do.
Good question right there. Thank you so much for calling in. And I do believe we have Lindy. Lindy, are you there?
I am.
Okay, go ahead with your question.
Last week I called in wondering, where does the money come from when there's a big settlement? And I was told that my insurance company will pay up to the amount that I have covered. I'm still wondering, where does the rest of that money come from? Out of my pocket or somewhere else?
Well, it depends. If you're a plaintiff, or if you're the person who was wronged, and you got injured, say in a car wreck, or got injured by a doctor, or got injured in any other kind of manner, then if the person who injured you, or if the company who injured you had a policy of insurance, then the money that you recover generally comes from their insurance company. And conversely, if you caused the injury, if you were the person who ran the stop sign and caused the wreck, well, you will generally be protected with your liability policy of coverage up to a certain amount. The mandatory minimum in the state of Alabama is $25,000. So if you did damage worth $25,000 to some other person, then your insurance company oftentimes will take up that amount in payment to the person that you injured. However, if the person you injured has more damages than that $25,000, sometimes you could be required to pay that out of pocket.
Wow. Well, that is great information there. Lindy, I want to thank you so much for your call. If you did not get your question answered, remember you can always call our friends over at Timberlake and League.